In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good morning. So there was a Jewish rabbi named Maimonides who had a structure of giving. Some of you may have heard this before. The place where I saw it was called the Ladder of Generosity. And it started out, I think there were 8 steps to it, and it started off with the least generous kind of giving, and then gradually worked its way up to the most generous. And the least generous was to give unwillingly. That is, it was understood as being a better thing to give less cheerfully than to give more grumpily. And at the very top of the ladder was not to give at all, or not to give anonymously as we might expect, but rather to give and then to get to know the person and help them find work, give them a job, give them training, give them a place to live, give them whatever they needed so that they need never beg again. Basically, to fulfill that old proverb, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him forever. That is, according to Maimonides, the highest form of giving. And what you notice, at least what I noticed as I looked at it, is that what makes for a generous spirit, what makes for a generous human being, is not how much we give, but how we give. That to give cheerfully is the most important thing. To give out of love is the most important thing. To give by entering into a relationship is the best and the highest form of generosity. In short, that the important thing about giving isn't actually the thing or things or money that we give, it is the relationship that we are nurturing by the gift. More important than being anonymous, more important than how much we give, cheerfulness and relationship, communion, was the most important thing. I said that he was a Jewish rabbi, but we find this in today's epistle reading too, when St. Paul says, "If I give away all that I have, and if I deliver my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing." This whole epistle is all about the importance of love. You look at it and you see, if I speak in the tongues of men of angels but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, if I have faith so as to remove mountains, if I give away everything I have, deliver my body to be burned, but I have not love, it is nothing. Now, all of these things that he's talking about, faith, love, moving mountains and all of that, these are things that come out of this communion of love with God. You can't have true faith and not have love. He's doing a mental exercise here to show the importance of love. But for today, I just want to remember that if I give away everything that I have and deliver my body to be burned, I have gained nothing if I do not do it with love. In the gospel reading today, we have this story, this parable of the rich man and Lazarus. Lazarus being a poor man who lies at the rich man's gate. He's covered in sores, and so much so the dogs come and lick his sores, and he desires nothing but the crumbs from the rich man's table. And the rich man goes in and out, and he takes no notice of Lazarus, but he lives in great sumptuousness and splendor. And when they die, their positions are reversed. Lazarus lies in the bosom of Abraham, and the rich man, who is unnamed, is in Hades and in great torment. And the thing about this gospel is that the rich man could have given everything Lazarus desired easily. Without even noticing the lack from his own table, he could have given Lazarus clothing, he could have given Lazarus food, and he would never have noticed the difference in his own life. He could have given all manner of things to Lazarus, but if he did not have love, it would have gained him nothing. The problem between the rich man and Lazarus is not only that the rich man is completely insensitive to Lazarus' need and his sufferings. The problem is that the rich man has no love in his heart for Lazarus. We see this even in this, when the rich man is in torment and Lazarus is in the bosom of Abraham. The rich man never speaks to Lazarus. He wants Lazarus to come, dip his finger in water so that he can cool the rich man's brow. He wants Lazarus to go and warn his brothers so they don't come into this same problem that he's in. But he never speaks to him. He only speaks to Abraham. He has no communion with Lazarus. And this perhaps is the rich man's actual problem. Not that he was selfish and greedy, but that he rejects Lazarus. He rejects his fellow man. And something we know about the Christian faith, we know about what communion with God means. You cannot reject your fellow man and somehow expect to accept God. You cannot reject the image of God and somehow think that you're going to recognize and love and live in communion with God himself. A generous spirit is not about the goods and the money that are transferred. It is about the communion the gift fosters. Without love, without true generosity, donations don't actually get us anywhere. Because we are not called just to give. We are called to be generous. And to be generous is not a task. There is no amount that you can give and say, all right, I have fulfilled my quota, I am now generous. We could give millions upon millions of dollars and never yet reach that point of being truly generous. Because generosity is not something that we do. Generosity is something that we are. It is part of our identity. It is part of what it means to love. It is about relationship. It is about communion. When God calls on us to give to the church, it's not about the amount. It is about learning to be generous. When God calls on us to give to the poor, again, it is not about the amount. It is about learning to be generous, learning to recognize the image of God in whoever is in front of us at the time, no matter what they have done, no matter what they might do. When God calls on us to take care for our own spiritual lives, it's not about getting more stuff for ourselves. It's about learning to be generous, to put first the things that are first, to value the things that are truly valuable, to love what we were made to love, and to enter into communion with God and our fellow man. To give more is good, but it's not the point. Not in itself. If it's just about the amount, then we have missed the entire point and we gain nothing. Generosity and stewardship. This week is the first week of Stewardship Month. Stewardship and generosity are about relationship, about recognizing God and humanity in the person in front of us and responding not just with goods or money or whatever it is they need, but with that which they need most of all, love and communion. May God bless you all. Please stand as we continue the Divine Liturgy.